Hi there, Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and I'm going to share some things that might surprise you about going paperless, whether you have tried going paperless or you have gone paperless, or if it's something you're just wondering if it's right for you. And before we go any further, make sure you click the link below and check out my course about paperless organizing. The doors are open only for a short time, so you want to make sure you either get on the wait list if you're watching the video right when it comes out, or during the time when the doors are open, you want to make sure that you snag that course if you are interested in learning how to go paperless and take care of your paper clutter. The first thing that might surprise you about people who have gone paperless is that pretty much no one has actually gone paperless, meaning no paper. It means they have gone paperless. They're using less paper, but by no means does it mean no paper. And it depends on lifestyle and personal preference how paperless you go. So some people may only put 10 or 20% of their paper in the digital world and they're happy with that. Whereas other people might be 50, 60, 70, 80, 90%. No one's entirely paperless. You still have to have those important documents, birth certificates, marriage certificates, things like that in physical form. So that'll never go away. And then after that, it's personal preference. For example, although I have a lot of my papers digitized, I don't need to keep physical copies, and I don't have filing cabinets or file boxes or anything like that, I still, for example, keep my recipes on paper. For many years while I was paperless, I used a paper planner, sticky notes. I would print things before I go places. I use like a printable menu plan. I just like to write it down. So by no means does it mean that you need to never touch paper again. Another thing that surprises a lot of people about going paperless is that a scanner is absolutely not required. Now, it can be nice to have in certain situations, but tons of people have gone paperless and they already have the tools they need. They simply use their phone to scan papers. This works well if you are starting now and going forward and you don't have this like huge backlog of papers, and if you don't have like tons and tons of multi-page documents coming in every day. If you just have, say, 5 to 10 loose sheets a month or even a week, it's not very hard to take out your phone. They have scan features and literally scan it with your phone. Now, in situations where you have a large backlog or you just have a lot of long multi-page documents, you're definitely going to want a scanner, because you'll be able to put like a front and back 25-page document into your scanner and it'll go through in like a minute. You don't have to touch it. Whereas if you try to do that with your phone, it would take you a long time. You'd have to literally take each individual page, put your phone over top of it, and scan each one individually. So it depends on your personal situation and needs, but it's definitely not a requirement. Another surprising thing about digitizing all of your papers and documents is they are actually more secure. A lot of people, especially if you're used to keeping things where you can see them physically, feel like it's less secure because there's nothing you can like touch and hold. But actually, if you have a single copy of your papers in a physical location, it is incredibly susceptible to theft and natural disaster. That can just wipe it out entirely. And if you have like a fire or a flood, those things are gone. When you put things online, or many people say in the cloud, then they're not susceptible to that natural disaster. If your actual computer is destroyed for some reason, you have a backup on the cloud that's living out there that you can access from anywhere. So they're actually more secure and less likely to be destroyed, and you're less likely to lose them if they are digitized. Next, some people are surprised that maintaining a paperless system actually takes significantly less time than maintaining a paper system. Now, this may surprise some of you. Some of you may have already assumed this, but if you keep your files in a paper format, there's a lot more effort with placing them in there, and then when it's time to retrieve them, there's more effort involved with that. Whereas in my paperless system, it takes me only a small percentage of the time that it took me to maintain my paper than it did before I went paperless. Now, this is something that may not only surprise some of you, but I'm guessing there are some organizing experts out there that are going to disagree with me on this one. So listen up. You can be far less organized with your papers and find them easier when you go paperless. Now, it is true that going paperless in and of itself is not going to magically organize your papers. However, in the system that I teach, there's very little sorting and organization that goes on when you digitize your papers, because if you think about it, the majority of the stuff that you need to keep in those files are things that you never reference. And once in a blue moon, you go reference something. So to spend hours a week categorizing and micro-categorizing and tagging or whatever you might do is excessive. And the beauty of digitizing is something called search. So once you digitize something, in the method that I teach, all of your text is completely searchable. That means I don't really care if you have all these special folders set up and all these things specially organized. All you need to do is put them in the program that I tell you about, click the search bar, and you can find your electric bill from February of 2019, even if you just scanned everything in a big pile and didn't organize it. Now, again, I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me, but for me, I think it is far better that you have everything digitized, that you can access it, than that you spend all of this time micro-organizing it. Now, if you had these things still in paper format, you would just have this huge stack of stuff to go through, and honestly, I don't know how you would ever find something from the past. But once you digitize it, it makes it easier to find, so it requires less effort and less organizing. And if you want to know exactly how to do this, definitely check out my course in the link below, and I'll show you exactly how easy it is. One more thing that may not surprise you when you think about it, but it's probably something you haven't thought about a lot, is once you go digital, your papers are accessible from absolutely anywhere. Any of my papers that I have digitized, I can access obviously on my computer, which you might imagine, but not only that, on my phone. When I'm at the doctor's office and I need to look up a test result from a previous doctor, blood work I did 6 months ago, it's right there at my fingertips. And this is one of the things I love the most about going paperless. Or if I'm traveling somewhere and before I had a smartphone, I might log onto my mom's computer and get something from there that I needed. So the ability to have your paper at your fingertips no matter where it is. And something else you may not know, especially if you're not super tech savvy, is that all of this happens, I call it automagically. So this program is constantly syncing your computer to your phone. And so there's nothing you actually have to do to make something that you scan into your computer show up on your phone. As long as you have an internet connection, this is constantly happening in the background. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And the same is true about backing up your data. That can be done automatically. It's not something that you personally have to do, which I love, because if I have to do it, if I have to press a button, it's far less likely to happen. So I like it when it is done for me. After watching this video, maybe you are inspired to try going paperless or to improve your paper organization and your paperless routine. And if that's you, make sure you click that link below the video to check out my paperless course. If you're watching when it's live, the doors are opening soon. If you're watching a little bit later, they may be open now, but they're not open all the time. So you'll want to make sure that you go ahead and click that link and get your name on the wait list or snag your spot.